Today I'm going to show you how you can lose body fat as a petite woman by increasing your metabolism. I know this isn't the next 6-week shreddy cycle. What this method is, it's a sustainable and realistic approach that you can follow at any given time in your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Estee, a female body recon and hormone coach, and I create content all about female wellness, hormones, and training in a way that supports your body. So if this sounds like something up your street, honey, then make sure you subscribe and make sure you turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos. Have you ever wondered why you struggle to lose body fat? Because every time you try a calorie deficit, you end up eating the dust and air diet, whilst your taller friends are eating 2,000 plus calories and they still get the same result. Now, unfortunately, us short girls have a lower BMR, which stands for basal metabolic rate. And these are just your coma calories. So these are the calories required to your body to keep you goddamn alive. And our taller friends have higher BMR because there is more of them. Now, if you do not follow the methodology that I'm about to show you, you're always going to be stuck in the same cycle, being in a calorie deficit and hating your life by the time it's week 2 because you're eating the dust and air diet. Let me tell you how you can lose body fat whilst eating more calories. But before we even go into a calorie deficit, we need to do a little bit of homework first. We first need to know what your metabolism is and what it really consists of. Your metabolism is made up of four key components. Let's change my color. Oh, exciting. The first one is your BMR. As I've just said, it is your coma calories. These are the calories that just keep you alive and functioning. And your BMR equates to 70% of your calorific needs. Okay, your BMR, we don't really have any control over. It's based upon your genetics, your height, and these are just what keeps your body alive. So talk about breathing, your heart beating, your organs functioning, digestive system functioning. That is what your BMR calories are in charge of. Now, the second one is called NEAT. Now, NEAT stands for non-activity thermogenesis, which in other words is your daily activity, which is just you plodding around doing your daily business, your chores, walking around at work, commuting to work. That is your NEAT activity. This isn't your planned activity. It's what you naturally do. Now, the caveat to this is the people who have more active jobs, so people who are in construction, people who are working on hospital wards, people who are in hospitality, aka you're walking around a lot on your shift, you will have a higher percentage of NEAT activity, but generally speaking, it's around 15% for people who are just in non-active jobs. Now, the next one we have is EAT. This one is exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically, it is your planned exercise, your gym workouts, you going to get your steps in, your cardio sessions. That is your EAT. And the last one we have is called TEF. Now, TEF is a thermic effect of food, which essentially is the amount of calories your body needs to break down certain foods. In particular, this is where the whole spiel of high protein diet comes in, because protein takes a lot more calories from your body for it to break down. Understanding your metabolism and what it consists of is going to help you when it comes to you making certain decisions around your activity and around your calorific needs. But you are a petite girly, and therefore your BMR is a hell of a lot lower. Do you remember when I said that? It's a hell of a lot lower than someone who was taller. And the biggest issue is if you are a petite woman and you don't have a lot of muscle mass, then your BMR is going to be even lower. And this is the issue so many women have. When you first make the decision that you want to go into a calorie deficit, you want to go into a fat loss phase, this is exactly where you're going wrong. You go onto a TDEE calculator to give your maintenance calories. You're a smaller human being and therefore your maintenance is going to be a hell of a lot lower. But I'm going to tell you my maintenance. My maintenance is 2,066, right? If I go straight into a calorie deficit from here, I'm going to have to take away 20%. because that is a really good starting point when you want to get into a calorie deficit, because you need a big enough calorie deficit for your body to get the memo that, hello, it's time to lose body fat. So I would be starting my calorie deficit eating 1,652 calories, which is pretty goddamn low. This is fine to begin with. You will get to a point where you will reach a plateau stage. What's happened here is your body has metabolically adapted to these calories. So what you need to do is you will then need to decrease your calories even more. So you'll take away another 200. Lo and behold, you're already eating 1,452 calories. And this happens very, very early on into your calorie deficit if you do not do this method that I'm about to show you right now. What you should be doing as a petite girly who wants to lose body fat is actually the opposite of going into a calorie deficit. You need to do a little bit of a background homework. I like to call it your pre-diet diet phase. TDEE calculator, and that will give you your maintenance. Once you've got your TDEE calories to give you your maintenance, you're gonna go into ChatGPT. You're gonna put in the prompt, my TDEE maintenance calories are 2,066. Obviously, use the number you've got from your TDEE calculator. I am a 28-year-old female, 64 kg, and 159 centimeters tall. Can you give me a macro breakdown, which includes 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight and moderate carb and fat intake? ChatGPT is going to give you your macros for your maintenance calories. For me, it's 128 grams of protein. Now, especially if you are weight training and you are quite experienced / you've been doing weight training for a while, I would really recommend doing 2 grams of protein per kilo. If you're relatively new into weight training and you're looking to just escape the skinny fat phase, then I would just do 0.6 grams of protein. But obviously for me, I have done 2 grams because I have been weight training for many years. My carb intake is 214 grams, and then my fats are 78 grams. This is your starting point. And this next step is the most important part of this whole process. Number 1, you've got to be patient. Number 2, you will need to stick to these maintenance calories, train like your life depends on it with progressive overload, using the same training split, do around 8,000 to 10,000 steps, and focus on good quality sleep for the next 2 to 3 months. So yes, you are not changing your goddamn calories for 2 to 3 months. So during that phase, you have spent time priming your body and getting it used to eating more calories, aka you've been slowly increasing your metabolism just by the virtue of eating your maintenance calories. But because you have been training hard with proper progressive overload, you've been logging your lifts, that is also going to have contributed to you growing some muscle mass, which is where the phase body recomp comes in. As you head into another month, I would recommend that you increase your calories by 200 calories for the entire month. Plus 200 calories, okay? I would personally do either 50 calories a week or 100 calories every other week. And the key here, especially when you've increased your calories, is to make sure that training intensity doesn't dip, your lifestyle doesn't dip, everything stays the same as when you first started your maintenance phase. Because your training intensity can quite literally make or break this phase. And if you're currently doing really random workouts that are not serving you and you're not able to apply progressive overload, I have a free workout guide and information on a body recomp phase, which is free for you to download. So head on over to the description. It's the first line in my description, so go and download it if you want a free workout plan that is focused on growing the glutes, because I know that's exactly why you're here. I keep telling you to eat more and more and more and more, right? And you might be saying through the screen,
Estee, I don't want to eat more calories, I want to lose body fat. I'm going to get really fat because you just keep making me eat more calories.
And this is very incorrect, especially when you're only 200 calories up from your maintenance. Like, you're not going to get fat from that, especially if you're still doing your steps, still doing really intense training sessions, and you're actively living an active lifestyle. At the end of the day, you have to look at the bigger picture here. Like, the higher we can build your calories up, easier your calorie deficit is going to be. The more calories you're going to be eating when you start your calorie deficit phase. So this is all very freaking important. But just because you're not seeing instant gratification in these phases, do not be fooled, because behind the scenes, what's really happening, you're going to be building muscle because you're eating a little bit more. You're not eating in a calorie deficit. So your body has the resources for you to push harder in your training sessions, for you to recover well after your training sessions. And most importantly, you are learning your routine and you're learning discipline and how to make unbreakable healthy habits without the pressure of feeling like you need to stick to a low calorie deficit. So it makes the whole process a whole lot more enjoyable. And in my personal opinion, you actually build such a better relationship with food throughout this process too. In the following month, you repeat this whole process. Increase your calories again by another 200. Once you have done all of this, you are now ready to go into a calorie deficit. You now have more calories to begin with. My maintenance calories at the start was 2,066. And through this example, we have been eating an average of 400 more calories. So my new maintenance is 2,466. With my new calories of 2,466, to go into a calorie deficit again, you are gonna minus 20%. My new starting calories for my deficit, 1,972. Isn't that way better than 1,600? I think so. And now you will need to work out your macros. So 2 grams of protein per kilo, or 1.6 grams. You go back into trusted ChatGPT, you put my calorie deficit is 1,972. Can you give me a macro breakdown where I'm eating 2 grams of protein per kilo of body fat, and put in brackets, I'm 64 kg, keeping moderate carb and fat intake. Same as before, ChatGPT is going to give you your new macros. So for me, it's 128 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, 73 grams of fat. And that is going to be your new starting point in terms of your macros, your calories for your calorie deficit. Biggest mistake I see happen time and time again when women go into a calorie deficit. And that is you slashing your calories far too soon and too often. And I get it, you're impatient, you want to lose your body fat like yesterday, but that isn't going to help you. You've already worked hard to build your calories up. Don't mess up at this point. To measure your progress, you need to make sure that you're doing your measurements weekly and taking your own progress pictures, because a lot of the time your scales aren't going to be changing as much, especially when you want to do a body recomp phase. So by week 3, if nothing has changed and you look the same, that is when you will introduce expenditure. More cardio and more steps. Even at that point, you do not touch your calories. Like, the whole idea of this is you making as much progress, doing as little as possible and eating as much as possible. So we don't really want to be touching your calories until you've done more cardio, you've done more steps, waited a few more weeks, and you still haven't made progress, which you will have. But theoretically speaking, that is the only time when you would then reduce your calories. And then a little bonus tip, when you are actually reducing your calories, reduce it by small amounts. So I'm talking like 200 or 100 calories. Now, the last thing I want to touch on when it comes to you successfully doing a fat loss phase, especially being a petite woman who wants to have a little bit of a body recomp at the same time, making sure habits that you learned through your maintenance phase, while you're training hard in the gym, doing your step count, eating whole foods, they remain the same in your calorie deficit. I see this all the time, and women have this automatic self-sabotage mindset where they go, oh my God, I'm eating less calories, so therefore I'm gonna be as strong in the gym. It's a load of rubbish. It's all in your mindset. You are still strong, especially when you're eating still a good amount of food. The key takeaway from this video is truly realizing that your true progress, especially when you want to have a toned physique as a petite woman, lies in a slow and intentional strategy, not quick fat loss diets. Because especially when you're petite and you're not blessed in the genetic department, you have to work a little bit smarter. And yes, it involves you eating more, not less, focusing your full attention into your training exercise execution rather than how many hours you can burn doing cardio. Since you've watched this video, I know your old methods are not working and they haven't worked before. This is your sign to take the leap and try something new. And that is it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.